The spark plugs were still gapped to spec. That was the first thing anyone noticed. Not the bent propeller, not the scorched belly panel, not the bullet holes stitched along the wing root. The plugs. Somebody had gapped them by hand, in the field, with a feeler gauge, days before the crash. Whoever flew this airplane expected to fly it again. Foggia, Italy, December 1943. ABF 109G6, engine still turning over on landing, had bellied into a wheat field 6 miles from the airstrip. Ground crew from the 325th Fighter Group reached it before the fire did. Captain Daniel Hurst, 26, aircraft recovery officer, 1st Air Force, logged it at 14:20 hours. Airframe intact. Engine, recommend full teardown. The pilot had ditched deliberately. Engine trailing white smoke. Coolant line severed by flak over the marshalling yards at Foggia Station. He walked away with a broken wrist. The American gun camera film from the intercepting P-38 showed the hit. A single 20mm round, almost incidental, clipping the radiator housing below the spinner. Nobody expected the airplane to survive that hit intact enough to matter. It did. That was the whole story, until it wasn't. It took 11 days to get it out of the field. Crated in sections, trucked to Bari, loaded onto a transport ship, then routed, after the usual paperwork delays, to Wright Field, Ohio, arriving the second week of February 1944. By the time the engine reached the test stand, 3 months had passed since the crash. The man assigned to run it was Major Everett Cole. He was not an engineer. He was a test pilot, 12 years in radial and inline engines, most of it hands-on, none of it in a classroom past high school. His superiors liked that about him. He trusted the dial, not the theory. The airplane's data plate listed the engine as a Daimler-Benz DB605A, rated at 1,475 horsepower, at 2,800 revolutions per minute, running on 87-octane fuel, the standard German aviation gasoline, C3 grade, blended with synthetic components by late 1943. An American Merlin 66, the closest Allied equivalent, needed 100/130ths octane fuel to reach comparable output. The delta was almost 15 octane points in the Germans' disfavor. On paper, the DB605 should have been down on power or eating itself alive from detonation. It was doing neither. Cole's crew took the airframe apart, panel by panel, and every system told the same story. Weight had been shaved everywhere. Pilot survival wasn't the line item. The armor plate behind the seat was thin, 6mm, barely stopping rifle caliber rounds, let alone .50 calories. The self-sealing fuel tank was a single bladder, no redundancy, positioned forward of the pilot's knees. The undercarriage was narrow-tracked, notoriously twitchy on takeoff and landing, a known killer of inexperienced pilots. But it saved nearly 90 pounds over a wider, more stable gear design. Cole wrote in his log, "This airplane was not built to protect the man in it. It was built to get the smallest possible object into the sky at the highest possible speed, and the man was fitted in afterward." Every trade-off pointed the same direction. Weight off the airframe, weight off the pilot's margin for error, and every saved pound pushed back into one place, the engine. While Cole's crew worked the airframe, 15th Air Force records for that same month logged 41 bomber losses to fighter interception over the Foggia-Ploesti corridor, several attributed to 109s outclimbing and outdiving their P-47 escorts. They did not discuss the number. They went back to the engine. Cole ran the DB605 on the test stand himself, using captured German fuel stock recovered with the wreck. Sealed drums, still sound. His notes from the first run are almost admiring. Throttle response was sharper than any Merlin he'd flown. The supercharger came in cleanly, with none of the surge American engines fought at altitude. Whoever tuned this thing knew exactly what he wanted it to do, Cole wrote. It does it. Then came the number that stopped the test. At 1.42 atmospheres of boost, a setting Cole ran deliberately, chasing the aircraft's claimed emergency power rating, the engine held. No detonation, no knock on the sensors. Output climbing past 1,800 horsepower, nearly 400 over the data plate figure. Cole underlined 1.42 twice in his logbook and wrote beside it, "On this fuel? How?" The answer was sitting in a small tank Cole's crew had almost dismissed as a spare coolant reservoir. It wasn't coolant. It was a 50-50 mixture of methanol and water, injected straight into the supercharger intake under high boost, the MW50 system. The methanol raised the fuel's effective octane rating on demand, and the water absorbed combustion heat, cooling the charge before it could detonate. Think of it as the engine carrying its own bottle of higher octane fuel, but only pouring it in for the few minutes a pilot actually needed the extra power, then running clean, ordinary gas the rest of the flight. The Germans hadn't outbuilt the American fuel supply. They'd found a way around needing it. Cole ran it again, then again. 5 full pulls to 1.42 atmospheres over 3 days, each one logged separately: RPM, cylinder head temperature, exhaust gas color, boost duration. The number held every time. This wasn't a fluke reading or a damaged gauge. It was a system, working exactly as designed, on an airframe that had crash-landed in a wheat field and sat in a crate for 3 months. If this is the kind of history you come here for, the kind that's written in a logbook margin instead of a headline, subscribe. There's more sitting in crates like this one. Cole's final summary made the philosophy explicit. This was not an engine that cheated physics. It was the logical endpoint of a single design goal set years earlier by Daimler-Benz's engineering office under Fritz Nallinger. Build an engine that could punch far above its fuel grade for short, decisive bursts, and accept every other compromise: weight, armor, pilot margin, in service of that one number. Cole's report went to Wright Field's technical intelligence section, and from there into Allied fighter tactics bulletins within the month. Escort pilots were briefed directly. Expect a sudden, unexplained burst of climb or speed from 109s already thought to be at their limit. Do not commit to a dive to escape it. Do not assume a 109 losing an engagement is finished. Watch for a thin trail of white vapor at the wing root. That is the tell. The bulletin didn't explain the chemistry. It didn't need to. It just told men flying at 25,000 feet what to do about it. What didn't make the bulletin was Cole's final page, marked for internal circulation only. Run past 1.42 atmospheres. With the water methanol tank running dry mid-boost, the engine didn't fail gracefully. It detonated catastrophically within seconds. The same system that gave the aircraft its edge could destroy it just as fast, with no warning to the pilot beyond a flicker of the boost gauge. German maintenance crews knew this. Pilots largely did not. It was never published, never turned into an American tactic, never weaponized as a way to bait a 109 into overboosting. It simply sat in Cole's file, a machine that could kill its own pilot on the exact same setting that made it dangerous to everyone else. The airframe itself didn't survive the war intact, sectioned for further study, most of it scrapped by 1946. But the DB605 engine sits today in a technical collections building, one of several, largely unlabeled beyond a data plate and a serial number. Visitors passing through glance at it the way they'd glance at any old engine block. Nobody reads the boost gauge. Nobody knows what 1.42 meant, or what it cost to find out. It never lost a dogfight over Foggia. It lost it 3 months later, on a workbench in Ohio, in the hands of a man who wasn't fighting it, just running it, again and again, until it told him everything.